into all the channels today. I have got a super special guest on today. This is exciting for me because I'm a video guy and I do a lot of video, but now I've got like a super pro with video today. So I'd like to introduce you to Tom Aris. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I guess we did we didn't check
You
that
do, you
beforehand,
do.
but
Good job.
yeah, Tom is coming at us from Germany. So pretty exciting there to have an international guest on the show. Anyway, this is the What the Heck is a Brand show. And today we are going to be talking about video stuff. So kind of video strategy and all sorts of kind of fun things with video. And then we're gonna joke about what we've been doing for the last hour.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'll turn it over to Tom, kind of let him introduce himself, and then we'll kind of just get to chatting.
awesome. Thank you, man, for having me on the show. And thanks to everyone tuning into this. I'm happy to do the dance with you today. And if we're looking back, like normally it's just, it's like super crystal clear jumping in and we're live directly. But today, Rex messaged me like half an hour ago. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not ready. My camera isn't working. And that's me saying that as a video pro. So even on the pro side, things happen. And now you literally see me through my iPhone. So I think that already kicks off a pretty good topic because some of you struggle with lighting, some of you struggle with videos, and getting your home studio set up is just not easy. But I feel you, and it's possible to make it work with an iPhone and gear that's under $500. So if you're suffering from that problem, chances are that we're gonna handle that today. Maybe, I don't know. This is just kind of a casual talk, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to kick this off with you today.
Yeah, we're just going to kind of go all over the place, but I mean, today specifically, we're going to be kind of focused in on video, which is funny because you've got two video pros on the line, and we've been having technical difficulties for the last hour. So yeah, like Tom mentioned, he's got a Blackmagic Cinema 4K Pocket, whatever. It's like the longest name for a product in the world, but he runs
And you got it
Blackmagic
wrong. It's a
6K
6K,
camera.
man.
Yeah, 6K. Yeah. Anyway, and we go to get set up, and Tom has been scrambling for the last, I don't know, probably half hour getting his studio set up, and I'm pretty impressed with the transformation that happened. I mean, when we first got online, he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm it's just going to be like my little image with the little talking thing going on because my camera's not working." And then he scrambled in the last half hour to pretty much build a studio from nothing. So it's been pretty fun to kind of see that little window as I peek over there. I'm like, yep, he's still going. It's looking good.
Now there's a plan in there, and now the lighting is different. So you got to work with what you have, even if it's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tom, I mean, kind of walk me through what you did and kind of what ended up working to take that just like iPhone image to like what you've got now. And I mean, I think most of it's probably going to come down to lighting because you're not really doing anything fancy with your camera. But let's just kind of talk about how you did that and then how people who are in their own houses, in their own homes, in their own offices or whatever can kind of replicate what you're doing on a budget. Because as our world continues to go virtual, we're on camera so often, and I think it just brings such a level of professionalism if you can have an image that looks really clean and crisp. And like we were kind of proving right now, you can do that with a fancy camera and fancy lights and stuff, and you can kind of do it on the bootstrap with an iPhone. So kind of walk through that setup, and let's just kind of take a look at what you did there to make that work in a half an hour.
Mm, all right, I love that. So the question that you're asking me basically is how you can build your home studio on a budget.
Yeah,
Is it
we'll go
that?
with
Okay.
that.
It's like, it was like five things in a row. So okay, but I get the point. So here's how you can build your home studio, even if you don't have fancy equipment. And firstly, I want to say that a lot of you guys still confuse this because I see it so many times. People think like if they buy a fancy camera and a fancy studio, that their content game is taking off, but that's totally wrong. It's not about the camera. It's about you. It's about your audience, and it's about the value that you deliver to them. If you got that right, it works with an iPhone. It works with everything. You could also just jump in without a camera. That's also a huge thing. You don't need to show your face all the time. But if you want to show your face and if you want to sit in your home studio and work with what you have, here are some things that you can do. So if we break down this studio here right now, which is obviously far from perfect, this is not a studio environment. I'm in the
It
middle
looks
of.
pretty good though. Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm happy that we're able of just taking that out of our pockets, because if you have an iPhone, like maybe I don't know how many people are watching this right now. I can't track the stats, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of you own an iPhone or something comparable. You got a pretty good camera in your pocket every day. You just don't know how to use it properly. So we're going to change that now. So, as many of you probably know, things are mostly about lighting. So, if I turn off that light here, for example, things look radically different. So what I get here, I'm not sure if I can pull it down. So, with the risk of destroying everything right now, this
Risk
is
it
just,
all.
it's just a softbox, and it goes down from above to my face, and you can literally buy this thing on Amazon for like $30 or something. You
Mhm.
don't need you don't need the high end solution to make it look good. And the light here in the front. So basically I work with 3 lights. I got this big light and lighting my face. Then I got a small light here, which is basically just a Philips Hue thing, just a light bulb, and I put
Mhm.
it here to give it like a little bit of a a light ray here, and it also enlightens my face from the other side without giving it too much of a shadow. And then from behind, I got another softbox, giving it like a rim light from here. But obviously, with colors will do a lot of heavy lifting for you. So that's all very technical. I get it. So if you don't want to deal with the technicalities, I can give you this one thing. As you said, we're pros and we were struggling with a tech right now. And that's exactly how you're becoming a pro. You just have to struggle long enough until it works out for you. And if you're lucky enough to find someone who can help you on the way, you might be able to skip a few of the deadly mistakes that's going to take you a lot of time. So basically, all you need are 3 to 4 lights, an iPhone, and then you have to download an app, any app that makes you able of connecting your iPhone as a webcam to your computer. That could be, and I think the name is EpoCam. It's powered by Elgato, EPOCAM, and this allows you to connect your iPhone with your Mac or with your computer or whatever you're using. Then
And Tom,
make
you
sure
you
that.
bought that app. You
Sorry.
did the paid version for the app, right?
Yeah.
Right before we went streaming, right? Because when you buy, I
Yeah.
mean, you can get it for free, and it slaps
Mm,
an Elgato logo like right in the center of your screen. So Tom was
it
committed
does.
enough today to pay for the app and get that logo out of there.
It's just $7. I was like, okay, otherwise I'm gonna have no camera here, and so I want you guys to see me. I like the face to face kind of interaction. So it's good that we
Yeah.
can see each other right now, and it's really literally just a couple of bucks away, and that's a good way to start. Just place your phone on a safe space. Maybe if you don't like to care about all the technicalities, just go on a place that you think is beautiful enough. Just remember the last beautiful place that you met and you say, wow, that looked amazing, I want to make a video there. Then you just sit down there and then host your live there. And obviously a good mic will help you increase the audio quality, because audio is already half of the video.
Yeah, that's something I think that gets overlooked a lot of the time. I mean, if people, I think people are much more forgiving of bad video quality. We're
Mm,
used to seeing kind of hasty shot videos and stuff like that.
yep.
But if you click on a YouTube video and it's like scratchy audio and there's stuff going on, you're like, ugh, just like it rubs you the wrong way so bad that you're like, I'm out. I can't listen to this.
Yeah.
So one thing I've been noticing as I kind of create content from my cell phone, it's so funny. I've got $50,000 worth of camera equipment here, and like I'm making TikTok videos on my cell phone, but like each app kind of has its own sound, right? And the way the apps capture the sound is different. So I've noticed a huge difference capturing audio directly to my iPhone versus, in app with TikTok versus in app with Instagram. So it's definitely something to kind of pay attention to, is what does your audio sound like as you're capturing it if you're just shooting it with your cell phone. For us,
Mm.
we've got microphones. You can't see mine, but it's right here, little shotgun mic. So Yeah,
Yeah.
don't let us fool you. This is not a full-on studio. Like, I've got a wet bar over here with junk all over it. So,
Almost
um,
nothing is a full-on studio.
yeah, it's true. Fortunately, the nicer cameras have a shallow depth of field, which kind of allows the background to get blurred out. So that's good. But yeah, I think it's definitely important to note that you can achieve some pretty good results. I mean, even with no tech, even if you don't want to have any lights at all, if you can get to a window in your house and let the sunshine come in through that window and light your face, um, you can get pretty good results just that way. So that's definitely something to kind of remember is you can definitely get by theoretically with no lights at all. So um,
And basically, there is something that I learned from my good friend Dave, who is my business partner I run my agency with, and he is a fashion photographer. He comes from that and fashion and editorial photographer. So what he does is he only uses natural light, except
hmm.
he's booking a studio or something. Because I was always the guys, I back when I was 12 years old, which is not a long time ago, but I used I used to make YouTube videos. I had a channel where I would put up one YouTube video a week. And what I was doing is I just bought equipment, I bought lights, I bought everything because I wanted to build a studio. I mean, he was approaching me and says, "Hey Tom, what are you doing there?" I was like, "What do you mean? What are you doing?" "I'm just leveling up my content game. I want stuff to look good." And he was like, "If you want this to look good, then turn off those dumb lights. Just go out in the sun." And that kind of I didn't want it to be true back then, but today I feel like this is a very good opportunity for everyone who doesn't really have as much of expensive gear and all the lights. And maybe I can give that to you as well. The way that I positioned this desk here is something that you can actually copy in 2 steps. So the first thing is, if you're like moving to a new apartment or building your studio in a new room, and try to select the best space for your desk to set yourself up to make high quality videos, or at least better videos than you did before. One thing that you can do is put your desk on a wall like you would do it normally, and then move it a little bit, make it a little bit off center. Just like if you imagine this is the wall. I'm German, so I'm missing the word right now. So it's when something is not completely straight. So it's like this.
Hmm.
So my desk is a little bit, it goes a little bit off the wall, but just to one side. So it's kind of getting a little bit diagonal
Hmm.
in the depth of my room. And this
Yep.
allows me to, even with my iPhone, create a perspective that looks great and appealing to the eye. And it's basically no matter what camera you put in front of me, this won't look terrible. And then you can just play with the light, and when the sun is rising, I have a beautiful light on the back of my face, on the back of my head. Of course, not on the back of my face, because what even is the back of my face? But just make the lights that you already got work for you, and one of those is the sun. That is tip number 2. Use sunlight. Shoot at sunrise and at sunset. Those are the 2 best times to shoot a video when you don't have any equipment at all. It will almost guaranteed look good from a certain perspective, and it's a better time to shoot photos or videos at sunrise or sunset than if you would go to the brutal sun that's coming out in the
Hmm.
middle of the day. So just work with what you have. It will already work out fine. And from then you can, work up and level up your content results if you feel ready. But I think this is taking us to a thing that you and I wanted to talk about, Rex, today. So before we started this, you approached me and said, let's talk something about, videos and branding related stuff. And I was like, okay, maybe we can bridge a gap there, because if you create content and you want to increase the quality of the content, you need to make sure that the content is market driven first, so you already have an audience for that, because the best video will do nothing for you if you don't have anyone to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that's interesting. I definitely have clients, obviously I'm more design centric right now as far as what I'm doing for most of my clients, within my creative agency. Video is kind of a small portion of what I do. But definitely for the video clients, there's an asset creation part of it, right? That's the logistics and the pre-production and the post-production and everything that goes into making that video. And I think a lot of people see video as just that, right? They get their video, they post it on their Facebook profile, they post it on their Instagram, and then they're done, right? And maybe 500 people see it, maybe 1,000 people see it, and then it's just done, right? But there's like a whole nother half of that whole process that just gets skipped a lot of times, and it's the distribution and what happens with that video and how you use that video to meet the metrics that you're trying to accomplish with the video, right? So if it's a commercial, like obviously a big brand, Toyota, isn't going to pay $200,000 to produce some super baller commercial and then post it on their YouTube one time and let it die, right? Like that would be insane. So, I'm guessing that that's kind of where we're headed here. But you're definitely someone that I look at as kind of that video strategist. So I'd love to get your take on kind of what that other half of the video looks like, and then kind of start that off with the joke that we were talking about, when we were pre-rolling.
Yeah. All right. I love that. So let's take a second here to include you if you're watching this right now. I can't see the comments that are coming in right now, if there are any. If there are none, I would highly encourage you to participate, because this is a conversation and I want to talk with all of you who are interested in this space when we're talking about video and video on social media and video to, using video content to grow your brand. And if you have any questions to that, feel free to ask that and have a chat together. This is not just Rex and me being live here and talking stuff. We want to have a conversation here.
Yeah. So before we jump into it, let me see if I can just pop this up real quick. We do have, maybe it only shows them as they come in, but there's a couple on YouTube from one of my friends, Danny Marsh. He's just kind of checking in. So Danny, appreciate you being here with us. One of the questions he asked was, what do you think about doing green screens if you don't have a background? So we could talk about that. And then Casey was just kind of chiming in about the audio, and the worst part about doing a live stream is having bad audio. So kind of seconds what we were talking about there. So
yeah. So should I go ahead, or do you want to do the show?
Yeah, we'll swing back to that green screen question, but yeah, let's just kind of jump in with the direction we were going there.
So should we address the green screen question or not?
Yeah, let's do it. What do you think about green screens?
Green screens. Before we dive into that question, I want to circle back on I think there was one word that you said in this sentence, and it's that you don't have a background, right? So I want to know first why you think that you don't have a background. And as this is not real time, I can just guess. So if you're still around, feel free to elaborate on this, but I can talk a little bit about that before, because that is one of the biggest misconceptions, that you don't have the right setup, you don't have the right background, the stuff that you have doesn't look good. And I feel like, even though if you're living in a I wanted to say in the basement, so I have to be careful here, as I know that you got the studio in the lowest room in the house. So actually, as you can see here, as a live experiment, as a live proof of concept, you can even make a basement look great. And there are some things that you can do to make your background look awesome, even if you don't think it's a proper studio. And also, this is a lighting question, but the main thing that people do wrong here is picking the wrong perspective. So I don't want to make this all about technicalities, because we're all in the brand space here. We're all interested in growth and growing our brand and success and everything and all the numbers. So we don't want to mess around with stupid creativity and art and stuff. I would call it provocatively. So if you want to make it super simple, always keep it simple, stupid, then just look for a perspective where the light is coming from a little bit behind you. Like in my case, I got my window back here, so point at, I think it's Oh no, this is the other direction. It's here. Yeah, here in the back. Usually, like there where this softbox is standing it right now, it's a light source where there's light coming from there. And if you manage to move that around, just try things out. Put yourself in one location in your room where you can move around a little bit, and then just hold your phone or hold your camera and move around in a circle and see what's behind you, and then stop at the point where you think it's the best perspective and you think it just looks the best. And this is just an emotional thing. I never visited any film school, I dropped out of school when I was 16. Basically, I know nothing about video that I learned from university or anywhere. It's just, failing forward, trying out things. And this gives you more of a better result than if you try to follow rules and laws that basically just don't exist.
Yeah.
I don't want to let the green screen thing out here, because I think green screen can be great if you know how to use it, but it's a lot of technical work, and in most cases, unless you have a big studio and all the technical resources and backgrounds, then it might not be worth it. It depends
Because
on what you want to do.
I think most of the time, I mean, if you're in like a really cramped space and you just don't have the ability to kind of create a perspective, then definitely I could see, green screens coming in handy. One of the guys that I know, Stephen G. Pope on LinkedIn, you probably have seen his stuff. He uses a green screen, and I saw his studio yesterday. He's kind of got his stand-up desk like I've got here, and then like his green screen's like right behind him, and it looks like he's in this really cramped spot, so I think, for him, he's able to kind of create some stuff with that green screen. But even then, to get a green screen to work properly, you have to have pretty good light on you, and then you have to have a separate light on your green screen. So if you're going to get a green screen to work, you've already got some lights that you could use to just make it work without a green screen in general. So but yeah, Danny Marsh kind of he jumped into the comments and said he's an IT guy, and he's just works long days, and he's got equipment, and he's got grandkids, and just kind of a mess of stuff all over. So I think one of the things people can do is, if you bring that camera down a little bit to where you're not like showing the ground, then you can kind of get away from a lot of that mess and just kind of shoot up into a wall or up into a corner, or I don't know. There's a lot of ways to kind of sneak around and strategically, hide some less desirable things in the background. Like, I've got a huge mess over there, and I've got a huge mess over here, and I just kind of, crop it with my camera frame to like only show what looks good.
I remember that one video that Peter McKinnon once made. For everybody who doesn't know Peter McKinnon, he is a video legend. He managed to grow a YouTube channel for, I think, over 1 million or even more subscribers, and he teaches how to do video everywhere. And I remember that one video. I don't know, let me figure out that name. Maybe I remember it later, but he was in a back room, like it was like his storage room where he stored his equipment, and a vlog from there where he showed people around, he showed his audience around in that equipment room, and it looked very cinematically. It looked great when he was shooting through all this mess because it wasn't cleaned up properly. He was also just moving, and there were parts laying around everywhere. It wasn't really organized, it wasn't cleaned up, but it still looked great because it has a vibe. And I think that's the thing that you need to come up with, no matter in which situation you are, because you can't always adjust your whole life or your whole business just to make a video.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ones that comes to my mind when you talk about that is Casey Neistat.
Oh yeah,
he's got his whole office, and none of it looks like a studio, right? But yet he manages to create this whole vibe in every one of his videos, just kind of based on this organized chaos that's always going around in the background. So it's definitely doable. So
it is. Okay, I think we made a little bit of a journey here over to the green screen topic. So Rex, do we want to lead this back to a point of view of like talking about branding?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely appreciate, your question, Danny, and certainly that's what's fun about these live streams is being able to be interactive. So certainly keep those questions coming. Got Frank watching on YouTube as well. So
Hey,
another one of
Frank.
my friends that I've kind of met on here. So kind of fun, and I'm sure people are watching on LinkedIn, but of course it's like terrible and comments never work and whatever. So
Yeah,
it's
we'll
buggy
read it
as hell.
afterwards and then get back to you guys.
Yeah, we'll do a part two and
Yeah.
answer all the questions. But yeah, I'd love to kind of get this back and kind of hone in on video branding or video work for brands because that's kind of the space that you and I live in. We're creating content, creating assets for our own brands and for clients. So kind of want to delve into what the best like why would a client want to make a video? I mean, we could kind of start there and then kind of
Mm,
talk about that process and then focus on that second half of video creation, which is the distribution and getting eyeballs onto it.
I see. I see. I think that is a good way to explain things. So should I jump in here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So why do people even want to buy videos? And apparently, like surprisingly, most of these reasons aren't really logical because a lot of times people want to buy videos because their competitor just made a video and they want to be like them. Or they want to out hustle them. They want to be better. And that's fair. But I don't know if it's a good thing then. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if you're making videos for the sake of making videos, then you should just stop, right? And I think that's one of the parts that some brands can miss, right? Is they're just trying to keep up, or I don't know. I mean, there's a million different reasons that you would want to create a video, but I think if the reason is because your competitors are doing it, then you're gonna it's gonna fall pretty flat, and it's not really gonna help you. So you're just gonna kind of take a stack of money, light it on fire, and watch it burn, and then you'll be done. So um, there's got to
There's,
be a plan to it.
yeah, there has got to be a plan to it. And even if you have a plan, that doesn't guarantee success. And there is one thing that I want to tell you guys here. So, when we jumped onto this here, Rex told me, "Yeah, let's talk a little bit about video and why people should why people should pay for video." I was like, people shouldn't pay for video. I don't think that people should spend money on video. And there are two reasons for that. And the first reason is that if you see video as a cost, and if you see video as something that you have to pay for, I think it's totally missing the point of making a video. I think videos are investments. It's the same thing as everything that you invest in your brand, and you start seeing this when when you get to know a little bit more about, when you dive deeper into buying content creation and spending money in your brand. You see that there's got to be a return on investment at a certain point. And that is exactly why I think videos are so dangerous. And that's me saying that as, someone who came from a video background,
Hmm.
because I saw so many people, as you say, Rex, burn a lot of money. And there is one dangerous thing about video. Videos are very expensive to make. The whole process of creating a video is very complex. It takes a lot of time, and when prepared poorly, it ends up with a frustrating result, and you can't change anything anymore because every change you make costs more money. And that's not even sometimes it's sometimes it's not even a thing of bad planning. You can have a good plan and still get a poor result and still get a maybe the video is appealing to you visually, but it doesn't do the job for you. So it's very hard to calculate and it's very hard to determine ROI with video. So
Hmm.
I, I'm excited to hear you take on that. Maybe we can chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm in the business of creating videos for clients. I mean, content creation and videos are, one of the pillars of things I do. So I focus on branding, design, and content. So definitely video content for myself and for clients is something that I do. And I definitely do agree with you that finding the ROI in a video is hard, right? And I think it's easy to kind of get sucked up in the visuals of, does this look cool? Does this showcase my brand? Is this on brand? I mean, all of those things are very important, but at the same time, if the messaging inside that video isn't right, if it's not connecting with the viewer on an emotional level, if it's not kind of showcasing who you are or showcasing what they need or the transformation that's going to happen because of your service or your product, then really you're just making a video to make a video, which can be a part of your content strategy, like if that's a part of what you're going for, right, is just having a ton of visual assets that you can recycle and use to, get interest and get awareness of your brand. Like that's a thing. And definitely that can be a part of your video strategy. So certainly like not every video that you produce as a brand has to be an ad that could run on on TV and is going to have a specific conversion that you're trying to generate or whatever, like you look at the strategy that Geico uses in their advertising, like they're just buying ads everywhere all the time. There's just, and I don't know how it is in Germany, but over here in the States, it's just like there are certainly definitely some brands that just flood with advertising on TV, and they're definitely, it's not like, okay, we're going to produce this one ad, and because of this single ad, 5,000 people are going to sign up for our car insurance. It's just like, it's not like, that's not how advertising works. It's a
Sadly, it's not.
every ad like builds on another ad, and it builds to that brand, and it builds new connections for your brand that help you have some sort of a position inside people's brains, which is what a brand is. I mean, a brand isn't your logo, it's not your website. A brand is a thought, it's an impression. Right. And what you're doing with video or design work or whatever, you're creating impressions with those assets, those creative assets.
So you as a video pro, right? I just want to ask you this question that is on everyone's head right now. Like, how can we measure ROI with video?
I wish I had a great answer for you. I'm newer as a video person. I quit a 10-year engineering career earlier in March. So I'm definitely figuring out things as I go. So for me, like, I don't know that I necessarily have a great answer on how to measure ROI from a specific video standpoint. I think it depends on the content medium that you put that video into. Obviously, if you're going to run an ad campaign, that's a video. I think there's a pretty easy way to measure ROI on that. You can clearly track your ad spend. You can track conversions on the ad. So I think that's less nebulous, right? Because it's pretty cut and dry. Like, this is a video ad. We can see how many people saw it. We can see how many people clicked on it. We can see what those people did when they landed on their website. Like, all of that is pretty trackable. But say we're doing a content series where we're producing social media videos for your brand, like that can be a little bit more tricky to track what's happening as you create that content. Like you and I are both pretty active on LinkedIn, right? And it's like, if you're going to pay somebody, like if I was paying somebody to run my LinkedIn, it would be a zero ROI at this point, right? Like, I'm putting out a ton of content, but like, I'm so busy doing other things that like, I'm not taking that next step to like make those actual connections. Yeah, I'm on video. my wife's bringing me a snack. Are you on video? Yeah, I'm live streaming. But yeah, I mean, outside of ads, I think, content strategy is kind of a different mindset that you have to get into. And I like what you said, Tom, kind of talking about how you have to kind of change your mind to where you're not paying for a video, you're paying for a brand investment, and those creative assets become a part of that brand strategy.
But if that's an investment in your brand, then investments usually have one thing, and it's ROI. So that's the reason why I put this question in the room. So maybe if you heard that, there was a loud noise in the back. Okay, so there is a way of measuring that. It's probably not what you think it is, because if you're running an ad campaign, what's on the what's the output on the other end. And with video, that is a little bit it's hidden in the process. And chances are, if you're making just a video, or if you're like recording a live stream like that and uploading it anywhere, it could do something for you, but it's nothing that you could predict. So here are some things that you can do with video where there is actually a business value, because that is a thing that gets often overlooked. Because if we're only talking about return on invest like we do in stocks and real estate, obviously if we're talking about a creative result that's going to be created, then it's hard to measure that. And what I want to do here is I want to help you guys figure this out a little bit better, because I know that a lot of people want to invest in video. I know that a lot of people want to level up their content results, but they're just feeling uneasy and wary about this, because it's hard to see what's in it for you on the end. So if you want to create a video, the first thing that you should think about is, what is your goal with that video? Is it just because you want to make a video, or is it because it helps you sell your product? And it could sell your product in a way where you make a video on your landing page where someone is talking about the product, or where the product is shown in every detail. And this can help you when it's part of a bigger marketing campaign. It can be part of a landing page. It could be part of also of an ad campaign. And now we're getting into repurposing, because as Rex said before, if you create a video once, that don't let it die. A video has a certain lifetime value that doesn't have to be over after 1 week once you posted the video on your account. If you let somebody else produce a video, if you hire someone to make a video and you get a high quality result, you get a high end video in the end, it doesn't have to be the end there. You can repurpose that video. You can create short videos out of that, post it on TikTok, post it on YouTube Shorts, on Instagram Reels, do other things with the video, and see how you can use it and what works best. And this is incredibly important to do when you start out with video, and maybe it's your first time investing it in video, is to see what works best, because otherwise we'll just end up not knowing what you're doing, and probably burning a lot of money. So that's not what you want to do. And the other thing that a video can do for you is to really create a human connection. A good example are YouTube channels, because I see a lot of people starting out on YouTube, and they don't they lose their belief because they're not getting the views that they hope for. And then they're posting like 2 or 3 videos, and like, okay, yeah, I'm not getting 10,000 subscribers a day. I'm not getting
What the heck?
what the heck? What is happening? What am I doing wrong? This is not for me. Maybe I'm just not good enough for YouTube, or maybe YouTube is not good enough for me. So YouTube, for example, is a very personal platform. And at the point where you made a lot of progress on YouTube and posted a series of videos, and you built your content library, you got a couple of maybe 100 videos, then people start to go down that path and watch one video, watch 2 videos, watch 3 videos, because what you can do then is build backlinks in your video and go from one video to other videos, say things like, by the way, if you listen to this video and you found this helpful, watch this video, click the top right corner, and go to the other video that explains what I just said more in detail. And then this could be part of your marketing strategy, where you lead people down your funnel and click a link, and be able to make them work with you. And it took me a lot of, I'm not getting thousands of views on my videos. Actually, a lot of you, if you would click on my YouTube channel and see the views, you would be like, oh my god, is this guy even, like, is he crazy? Why is he still putting out videos? These videos are getting no views. But a lot of people reach out to me on LinkedIn and say, hey, your videos, they help me. And I got a lot from that, and my content game just went up just by looking at your channel. And I was like, okay, I didn't know my videos were getting that attention.
Yeah.
And that proves this point, that even if you get 10, even if you get just 10 followers, appreciate each and every one of these followers, because if there is just one person that you can make a positive impact on, it could become a customer to you. So it's not about getting viral. It's not about having a video on the TikTok For You page for everyone, and it gets like 1 million views. Those 1 million views that are over sooner than you think, they're gone.
Yeah.
A week in, and nobody watches your video. Everyone has forgotten you, and then you sit there with your 1 million views. How are you going to do that?
Yeah, one of the things that I think is really important to keep in mind is like, what is the goal of a video, right? So, one
Yeah.
of the things, I actually watched a video about it last night on YouTube, kind of talking about he sets out like what he wants the comments of his video to be before he makes the video, right? So he's like, I want
Mm.
people to comment, "Wow, this was so inspirational. I feel so motivated to go make videos now," or whatever, right? So, I think if you do that, you're essentially kind of outlining the ultimate goal of your video before you even go to make it, right? Whether that's, oh, I want people to like click on my website. Well, if you know that that's your goal of that whole video, then everything you do when you're in there editing it or whatever is going to be, if it's not reaching towards that goal, then you're going to cut it, right?
Mm.
So I think definitely that strategy of like making videos for a specific audience or a customer or whatever, right? A community is the most important thing you can do, right? Because if you're just all over the place in your video content creation, like nobody's going to know what to expect from you. Nobody's going to follow
Yeah.
you. Nobody's going to care what you have to say because, like, they're not going to know what you're going to say next time and they're probably less interested, right? So if you can be consistent, like, okay, this show is called What the Heck is a Brand? That means we're talking about all things about branding and how to build brands and how to establish brands and how to grow brands, and everything kind of centers around this branding. And then my 2 cents on that is, from the design and the content standpoint, but there's all these other people that I'm going to bring in to really help us figure out what the heck is a brand, right? Like that is a concept that people can latch onto. And if they're interested in that sort of thing, they're probably going to follow along, right? Because like I'm bringing in super cool people from the industry that can offer a lot more insight than what I can because they've got more experience or they're just in a totally different avenue of brand building and marketing and creative. So if you're into that kind of stuff, like you're probably going to be interested in what we've got to say on the show. So for me, like, I don't know, you say you can clearly track ROI on a video, but like I think with content, oftentimes it's a long game. Like you said, when you build a YouTube channel and you've got a whole bunch of videos, and it
Mm.
takes time to get to that point, and
Yeah.
those early drops into the content bucket aren't necessarily going to get you a client. It's not like
Yeah.
oh, I need another client today, so I'm going to make a cool YouTube video and like get 2 clients. It doesn't really work like that. I mean, it could if you had the right people watching and you had the
Mm.
right messaging in your video, like it could work that way. So a lot of it is about, I mean, for newer brands or personal brands, a lot of that early on content is just about building your credibility and staying authentic and meeting new people that are interested in what you're doing. So for me, it's been really interesting because I had a 10-year career as a mechanical engineer. So anybody who is connected to me on LinkedIn or following me was either from the industry that I worked in or were like other engineers or people who sell stuff to engineers, right? So as I have launched into this new business, it's been a pretty fun effort to kind of connect with totally new people. And one of the best ways that I found to do that is through video. I mean, you can portray so much more about who you are as a person or who you are as a brand through video versus whatever medium you could do for getting your message out.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be about straight money that you get back right now. If this is the correct thing that I hear you saying right now, Rex, right?
Yeah, I would say yes, and I think when you said you can measure ROI of a video, I think most people immediately think ROI as money, right? Oh,
Yeah.
make this
So
video, the ROI is money, and I think what I hear you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there is an ROI to video. It's just not always directly correlated to money.
that's very true. And I wanted to make sure that this is clear here, because I'm not saying that you can directly measure the ROI of making a video or producing any piece of content, no matter what you do. What I'm saying is that, and that might sound a little bit of, a little bit absurd if you are early in the brand building process, if you're early in getting traction on your social media accounts, and if you then stand on this gap, stand on this cliff of jumping and investing in your content, this can feel this can really feel absurd to you, because it's like I'm gonna invest a couple of $1,000 now in this, so I'm not sure if this is gonna get me the results that I want. And it's on this point, it is just a question if you believe it will do this for you. If you believe in the long-term mission that you have, that this creative piece of content is helping you with. So if you want to make that step, you have to be sure that you really believe in that journey, because no one ever built a brand and it took off the next day.
Yeah, you
Sometimes,
can't make a
you know,
video and have a strong brand.
right? It doesn't work that way, and it shouldn't work that way. Like, you could read mm, some books about this. I could check back where I think it's from Mira Kothan's book. I'm not an expert. This book, she talks all about how to build your expert business, and it's a really good book, simplifying all the information about email marketing and how to make a marketing campaign work for you. And there are some nice numbers in there, and one of that is how many touch points it needs to get somebody to buy. And those touch points are 17 on average. So it could be more.
Yeah.
And if you then just make one video and say, like, when just check back on what has worked on you, not for you, on you. When was the last
Hmm.
time you bought something? And how many times have you heard of that before? And this way, I think that good marketers are just very active listening customers or
Hmm.
consumers. Like, if you just be a little bit of just be a little bit mindful when you scroll through your LinkedIn next time, and see if there's anything that pops out to your eye, and you see, oh, okay, that caught my attention. And then the next thought would be, how can I apply this, what I just saw, for me, to make my content pop the same kind of way and make people aware of me? And that's how all successful social media profiles start. You can just copy what has worked on you, and then reflect it back to the world and attract your ideal customer with that. And if you believe in that, and if you have the guts and the time and the runaway to make a to take that leap and build your brand, then I think you're on a good way, and on the right way, where you can really say, okay, now I'm ready to invest in this. Is there anything that you would add to that, Rex?
Yeah, I would just say, for those of you that are watching this, whether live or, down the road, you have to understand, if we're talking about content, like, content is a long game. Like Tom is saying, any action that comes from the content that you produce isn't just going to come from some stranger landing on your content. They see one thing that you've done, and all of a sudden they go buy your product. Like, very rarely does that happen. Sometimes, but pretty rarely, right? So I've had a few things that, like, I saw it the first time and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I think I'm going to buy it. I'll open it up into like a new Chrome tab on my phone, and then I'll forget about it, right? I don't actually go buy it. And by clicking on that, I get, into their little system with the Facebook pixel. And then all of a sudden I start getting retargeting ads. And then pretty soon I remember and I go buy it. So, like,
Yeah.
that's something that's important to remember, is like, nobody gets converted. I don't want to say nobody. Very, very, very rarely are you going to convert someone into a paying customer after one interaction with your brand. So as you decide to, it really is a commitment and a decision to invest in building a brand, and doing that through content. You have to know that it's going to take some time to get it ramped up. And once it does, it just kind of starts to snowball. And that's what I've seen. So Frank asked, he said, what have you found to be your best tool in getting more business and building your brand? And for me, it's been kind of twofold, which is interesting. I would say most of my business, paying clients, have kind of come through my networking efforts, which is pretty focused on LinkedIn. But I don't think I've got anybody right now who is a paying customer that I didn't know previously or know someone who knew them, right? So pretty much all of my efforts that I've been making on LinkedIn, I think has driven awareness for the people that I knew previously or some of the people that I have met since doing content on LinkedIn. So for me, trying to post every day, trying to do video content, written content, carousels, design, I think all of that effort in putting out really high quality content onto social media. I mean, LinkedIn is just one platform of social media, right? You can do the same thing on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, I think, if people still do Facebook. But for me, it's just those little drops in the bucket every single day kind of build an awareness about what I'm doing, who I am, and what I'm capable of. And then as people who I connect with need something, all of a sudden, bing, that kind of connection goes off in their brain like, oh yeah, Rex does that. And they call me. So that has happened one time of somebody who is a complete stranger to me, don't know them at all personally, like on LinkedIn, was like, hey, I love your content. I've got this huge thing going on. I'd love to get a pitch from you. So I've already had one completely cold turkey, like client come out of the woodworks from my content. Pretty big opportunity. So that's exciting. But even a lot of the stuff that has kind of come through that referral network has also, really like the value is still there from my content. I was on a call with the CEO that I'm working with currently. I've been working with him kind of through a liaison and got to jump on a call with the CEO. And he's like, dude, I've been seeing your stuff on LinkedIn and it's super awesome. And because of that content, instead of just doing this little portion of the project, all of a sudden I'm doing a lot more stuff because he's aware of what I'm able to do. So for me, that single instance has been really big, just kind of opening the eyes of an existing client to see what I'm capable of without me having to jump on a call and pitch more work to them. Curious for you, Tom, kind of what are the biggest, before we jumped on the call, you were talking about how your creative agency is really starting to take off and you're getting really busy. So just kind of curious from your standpoint of, what has kind of helped you. I guess I don't even really know your background, but you said you kind of have a video background, but didn't go to film school. Kind of tell me a little bit about, what you're doing now as an agency and kind of what sort of content helps you get to where you're at now.
I see. So before I get into that, I want to circle back on something if you're right with that. So I heard a couple of things that you just said answering that question. And there's one very interesting question that I hear all the time, it's like how to get strangers to buy from you. and do you even want that? Because you right now talked about an opportunity where someone just emailed you up or sent you a DM, right?
Yeah.
Completely cold. You didn't they obviously did know you, but you didn't know them. That's the way it should be, right? It not should be otherwise. Like otherwise it's like super cold. There are people who are experts in that. And I have a huge respect for everyone who gets up every morning and sends out 2,000 cold DMs and then is able to close some of them. That is like, it's like one of the biggest flex move where you go out there and say like, okay, I'm really able to make a 1 out of a 0. But that's not my way of perceiving marketing should work, because I think that whenever I bought a product in my whole life, it was never because someone aggressively talked me into buying it. And that is exactly that is exactly the reason why you could do content marketing. That is the reason why you do inbound things. That is the reason why you put out a video or why you run a LinkedIn profile. And chances are that if you're running a LinkedIn profile and you see that it starts taking off, it starts getting some traction, you start getting views, getting likes, getting engagement, and chances are that you're leaving a lot of value on the table there. So here's the thing that you can do to leverage your LinkedIn profile, even if you don't have people reaching out to you directly and say, hey, I want to work with you and give you all my money.
Because that doesn't happen that often. For me, it's been once in the last 8 months.
It happens. And
Yeah.
at a certain point, it will start happening more often. But
Yeah.
until you get there, it is a hard, long way that most people don't have enough just don't have enough runaway to sustain going that long
Yeah.
way. So there are some things that you could do, and the first thing is that's the one of the most deadliest mistakes that you could do on LinkedIn when you start growing, and it's not engaging with your audience. Rex and I, maybe we can tell a little bit of an anecdote in the story how we met, because it's super simple. We didn't know
Mhm.
each other in real life because we're living in completely other parts of the world, and
Yeah.
until today we didn't really talk to each other. Like, it was not like we never met face to face and talked, but it was just because I was reaching out to you asking if we want to do a guest post together and see if our audiences like each other.
Mhm.
And then from there, this relationship started to happen, and we started to do this live here together. And beautiful things like this can happen if you just push your luck a little bit and engage with the people that engage with your content. Because let's be honest, getting engagement, getting some likes is really not that hard. And a good friend of mine, Connor Woodard, once said this really wise words: all marketing is the same, give value.
Mhm.
And if you succeed, or let me put it this way, if you don't fail to give value, chances are very, very high. I can almost guarantee to you that if you post like 10 posts on LinkedIn, may it be a carousel, may it be a text post or a video or whatever feels most comfortable for you to create, people will react to that if it is value for a certain audience. So think about this: who can I talk to? Who can I give value to? And who can I help with a certain problem that I help them to overcome that and transform to a better life situation, or a better business
Mhm.
situation, or a better content situation? From there, just give it a try and create 10 posts, even if the first 9 ones suck. If the if the 10th post is good, you will get at least some engagement, even if it's just 5 likes. And 5 likes are 5 people that you can send a DM to that will already know what kind of philosophy you stand for. And of course, it is not going to be that you don't write them and say, "Hey, do you want to buy my product? Do you want to jump on a
I s
jump on a
I s
30-minute
yeah.
call to you?" Like, it's
Yeah, I saw you liked my post. That means you're ready to buy my product now,
yeah.
right?
You gotta train your eye to see where a lead is, and not everyone commenting on your post is a lead, even though a comment is a pretty high form of engagement, and it's generally the thing that you want to get. You want to get comments, you want to get people start a conversation around the topic that you talk about. And you can also use those people, or it's like, I don't want to talk about using people, but these people
Yeah.
these people have a value to you as a brand. Because if somebody comments on your posts something like complimenting you, it has one of two reasons. And the first reason is they want to get traction and just comment on your post because they think that other people are hitting up on their profiles because they've seen their comment under your post.
Mhm.
You can ignore these. The second reason is that someone just genuinely agreed with you and liked your point of view and liked the perspective that you stand for in the post that you made. These people might not be ready to buy from you. These people are most likely not ready to buy from you. But what they are ready for is spreading your message and telling, just 1 or 5 people that you're a great guy and you know how to make XYZ work. You know that you're as an expert at a certain subject matter. And these are, I think Marty Neumeier said that. I'm very bad with the quotes today. I'm sorry, with the risk of getting this wrong. I think it was Marty Neumeier. Maybe you correct me if I'm wrong. That these are brand evangelists.
Mhm.
And brand evangelists, Apple is a huge brand that succeeded in creating a lot of brand evangelists. Even me, I've spent the first 10 minutes of this live talking about how great of a camera my iPhone has. So, you know,
Yeah.
and that's the kind of referral that you want to get, because that's what every successful business person believes in. And you talked about that every job that you got was coming from your network except of one, where someone came to you completely cold. So there has to be a
Hmm.
truth to it that network and referrals work quite well. So that is a perspective that you can start your social media account from. And even if you run a social media account already, you can think about this. How can I leverage my social media content to get referrals, to get my network growing? And maybe
Hmm.
not even, it doesn't even have to grow. It just have to serve you better in terms of connecting you with the right people. If you have 10,000, or if you have 10 followers, everyone knows at least 5 people.
Hmm.
Just do the math. Think about how many people those are. And then you can just start multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. And then growth gets easier with time.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with all of that. And I think when you're thinking about building social media profiles and kind of what that strategy looks like, it's important to think about quality over quantity. So personally, like I would much rather have 100 people that are in my right audience, that are engaged with my content, that love everything I put out, than 10,000 people who couldn't give a crap about me. Right. And I have both of those things right now. So I have an Instagram page that used to be about firearms that I guess that one still is, but I have another one that isn't. So I switched one of my firearm pages to my creative page, right? So these are
And what happened
10,000
then?
people that used to follow me because I was posting cool pictures of guns and me shooting. And now that I post about creative stuff on there, it's like crickets. Like nobody
Mm,
cares, right? So like,
yeah.
yeah, a
And why is
handful of
that?
them that like actually like personally know me or think that I'm cool or whatever, like are still kind of following along. But I would say most of those people are just kind of like shut off to my content. And since I switched, those posts get so much less engagement now that I think the algorithm is just totally squashing me because I've got 10,000 followers and every post I do will get 10 likes.
Yeah.
So the algorithm's like, oh, crappy content, hit the suppress button, hit the suppress button. So I think
Burp. Yeah.
probably what I'm going to do with that is just kill it. I'm probably
Mm,
going to, bite the bullet and either, I don't know, sell it to a friend who wants to, for free to like just run a gun channel again and start up a new creative channel or what. But it's really weird to just kind of have, it looks cool, right? It makes me look legit, right? If I'm like, oh yeah, I got 10,000 followers on Instagram, people land on my page and there's 10,000 followers. They're like, oh, this dude must be legit, but like, nobody cares about what I'm saying. So I would definitely say
yeah.
audience is more important than, the quantity of people that are following you.
And people are not stupid. Clients, customers, they're not stupid. If you run an Instagram page and you got 50,000 followers, people will see if this is fake. People will see if you follow 8,000 profiles or 80,000 profiles in return.
Yeah.
It's not about getting a lot of followers. It's not about getting these numbers up. Of course, life is a numbers game. I get it, but I don't think that it should be about how many followers we have. I think it's about how many people you reach that you can actually impact in a good way, because then chances are higher that these people will become loyal customers, and that's what you want. You don't want customers to go away all the time. You get them once, and then you piss them off, and then they never come again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's easier to just resell your services to happy past customers than it is to
Yeah,
create new customers. So, um, yeah, I'm definitely a proponent of, taking care of the people who are, in your audience and in your
yep,
community. So
definitely.
I think
And
that's,
that
for me, that's a huge strategy of what I'm doing right now with my brand, is just trying to connect with the right people and try to consistently every single day bring value and then make new connections, like real connections.
So there is a huge question that is coming up right now, because you host a session right now, a live session that you said $50,000 worth of equipment, and a complex made up live streaming session here. We're on here for an hour right now, for 1 hour and 3 minutes. You don't get paid for this. Why should someone, if you're watching this right now, why do you think Rex is doing this? Maybe you can give us an answer here.
Yeah, there's definitely a few people watching, and I think I mean, I know that the people that are, popping off in the comments on YouTube, I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm here for them. I'm here for the people that are a part of my audience, that I'm friends with and that I care about, and I care about bringing them value because, I mean, a part of that is selfless, right? Like a large portion of what I'm doing with my personal brand is completely selfless, right? Like I genuinely want to help people, and I want to, enable people to learn everything that's in my brain so that they can do what I do for themselves, whether that's their own brands or their own personal brands. And I do that for free. I just like to help people. But then there's certainly a selfish component of that, right? Like I pay my bills by running my creative agency called Stoke. And the more awareness that I can drive about what I do and what I'm capable of, those people who are interested or need to pay or want to pay for those services then kind of land on Stoke, and then, they become a client. So there's definitely a selfless portion of that, just total abundance mindset. And then, with the hope that like some of that turns into a monetary ROI. But the other ROI is just knowing that people are appreciating what I'm doing, knowing that people are finding value, and that I'm actually helping people elevate their own lives and their own brands. I mean, for me, that's huge. And I'm willing to make that time investment.
Yeah.
My wife might argue differently, like, why are you live streaming? You need to be doing client work, but for me, I think it's still a long-term investment in building that brand.
I'm gonna do something here and now and draw, like, if you allow me to do that and use your wife as an example here. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Why do you love your wife? Why do you choose to love her and to do beautiful things for her, which I'm sure that you do?
Yeah, I mean, she's awesome, and like we share everything together and we share our whole life together, right? So like she's kind of the center of everything that I do.
Is she on the audience right now?
No, she will never watch this. But like, I mean, originally, like why we originally linked up, like she was fun. We liked to hang out together and we liked to do stuff together, and we had things in common, and we shared the same values and the same principles and pretty similar goals. And we were kind of just, compatible and had some chemistry. So, I mean, all of those things kind of brought us together. And then, those things also help us stay together.
And are you sure that you get a fair return out of the investments that you make in the relationship to her?
I don't know. Sometimes, probably.
So I'm pretty sure that you don't get up every morning and open an Excel sheet and calculate if the value that you give is even with the value that you get. But it's just a habit that you do because you believe in it, and you believe that it's the right decision, and it will give you something positive on the side, on the outcome back,
Yeah.
You just believe that it will come back. And of course you can't compare that directly to your social media content and the stuff that you do to build your brand, because obviously that stuff costs money. Relationships can cost money too, but let's keep that aside for now. The reason that I'm saying that is that you need this type of belief that you do the right thing there, and that that good things will happen if you do this. You need that belief to take that leap and start and creating that content that you really believe in will help you grow your business and grow your brand, because it won't happen overnight. You got to put some work or some money in it to make other people work for it, or to build a system. And that system better be efficient, because you don't want all your money go down to the drain. But it doesn't work if you don't believe in it. That is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're watching this still an hour and 8 minutes into the video, we'll have to cut this up into little pieces so people can digest it easier. But, if you're still with us, and certainly, a lot of the people that watch a lot of my stuff are still on YouTube, and I don't even know what's going on LinkedIn. But if you're still with us, I mean, if you're setting out on content, it's like you're not going to do it if you don't have patience, if you don't have the
Yep.
commitment, and then if you don't have the belief. So, I mean, that's kind of one of the underlying messages that I kind of include in all of my stuff is like an encouragement to start trying and just trying to convince people that there is a value in building a personal brand or in investing in your brand as a real brand, and kind of committing to that long game with that belief that eventually someday that people are just going to start knocking on your door, and all of a sudden you have an inbound machine that you keep feeding with content, and that inbound stuff keeps going.
So
And
if
we
we're
got
talking
Ryan
about,
Anderson
oh,
watching live. He's coming from England, so he's like in between us.
right, what's going on? So thank you guys for still hanging out with us. I don't know, Rex, how long are you planning on doing this? I think there's another half an hour inside of me, so I don't know about you.
Yeah. Usually we try to keep it to about an hour, but I
Okay,
mean, I don't.
it's your show. I'm playing by your rules, man.
Yeah. Some people are like, "Ooh, that's too long. Let's keep it a half an hour." Other people are
Okay.
like, "Let's just go for it." So I usually just kind of keep. I usually shoot for an hour, and then if we get to an hour and we're both kind of like, running out of stuff to talk about, then we'll just, hey, see you later. But yeah, certainly if we've got people piping in and commenting and interacting, I don't see a reason to shut it down. So
Just type in some emojis if you're still not tired of hearing our voices and seeing our faces.
yeah, give me some rock on emojis if you're
Yeah,
ready
man.
for us to keep going.
So, and while that is happening, I think we still have some points to talk about because you asked me about a question that I very eloquently managed to navigate aside from. So now I want to circle back on it to make sure that it doesn't drop off the table. So you were talking about inbound machines
hmm
and asking me that question back, which I think, do you still remember the exact question? I think it was about what's the most powerful marketing tool that got me the most leads or something like that. You were
Oh
talking
yeah,
about the
yeah. That
network.
that was actually a question from YouTube from Frank, Frankly Everything. He said, "What have you
Oh,
found to be your best tool in getting more business and building your brand?"
okay. So if frankly everything is your brand name, I think I consider this a pretty strong name to be memorable. So good job on that, Frank. So getting back on that question, which is an excellent question, by the way. Um, what is the most powerful lead generation tool? That's the thing that I'm hearing from it because a lead is where business starts from. So I have to agree with you on the network part because network is going to do a lot for you. And I met a lot of people who got started and got connected to the right network. I can't say the same thing for myself because the network that I grew in was, I didn't grow up in an entrepreneur family. My parents are both teachers and musicians, so it's kind of the opposite of what you need to make a career that is, like getting the tax thing right, getting sales, getting to know how business works. So I had to learn all that for myself, and there was no network helping me to do that. And obviously, there are no people in a network like that have a huge budget or something, a foundation where a video could do a great job for them. So
hmm
when I went to school, I was 7 years old when I had my first camera in my hand, and I never really took it back. So I always had it with me and made videos instead of doing my homework back in school. And then I got the first inquiry for business at age 14. I was like, okay, hold on a second. I got business now. So like, what am I doing with this right now? And
Yeah.
I remember that it was something, I had to do something with music, like it was a music video. And we're talking about building brands right now, and brands are connected with business because there is no point in building a brand unless you're an NGO or a charity. Um, you got to get a return out of that. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to do all of that effort, put all of that work in.
Yeah.
And that's that was the point where I would decide, like, okay, I like making music videos, but I want to go beyond that. I still want to create beautiful videos. I still like to be creative and create beautiful things, but I get tired of sitting in my room and just editing videos without it helping anybody. The only impact that this has is just other video people commenting on my post thinking, yo, this is a great video. I was like,
Rad video, dude. Good job. And you're
yeah,
like,
yeah, good job. Check out my
cool.
channel. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So even if it is a genuine compliment, it still didn't help anybody achieve something great. I'm pretty sure that it is a great video. And I was like, when I was 15, I probably still needed that reassurance to read that from other people that my content is good. But you can't, it won't take you anywhere in the long run. So I decided to take on a different approach. And that is also the reason why um, we were talking about workshops and my agency is taking off right now. That's basically just because I'm taking on new clients for next year for social media.
Mhm.
So the thing that we do is we offer done for you content creation solutions in order for you as a brand owner or as someone working on taking care of the marketing side of things, getting rid of your time, because
Mhm.
creating content takes a lot of time. It is complex. It is not easy. Most likely you're frustrated with the results because it doesn't look like what you hope for. So this is a way for you as a brand owner or as a brand in general to increase the quality of your posts on every social media game, to level up your content results while saving time. And I decided to pivot into that direction because I just sensed that, and talking to my clients that I had back then that just needed one or two videos, that this is just a better way for me and my clients to work together in order to really get them a return out of that and help them achieve greater results. And
Mhm.
actually, getting back on the lead and the marketing question, I didn't get a lot of these sales and of these clients and of this business from my network. And it took me a lot of time to build a fundamental, to build a foundation where leads are coming in automatically just from the content that I create, and it takes some time to develop that. And some people, me included, had to buy very expensive coaching of people who have been doing this for years in order to not get crazy building those, what you call a funnel.
Mhm.
So this is, long story short, one of the most powerful ways to get new business, I think, is to make your content work for you. But also, there are some other things that you could do. You could go on conferences, you could do live streams like this one here to confidently talk about the stuff that you truly believe in and know that you're good at. And this all helps you to get in front of the right people and to get the thing that you sell and the thing that you provide value with in front of the right people. And at that point, it's basically it doesn't matter anymore what you do because it's clear that the value that you bring on the table is helpful to someone, and that's the
Mhm.
power of selling with your brand.
Yeah. So essentially, in everything that you are producing, you're just trying to constantly be sharing value and bringing
Yeah,
value to the people who are seeing your content.
yeah,
And that's a strategy that I think I see most service businesses taking in their content. But certainly, that there are other ways to do it without just bringing value, right? You can also entertain, right? Like you look at
yep,
Mr. Beast on YouTube, like literally he's giving you negative
yeah.
value. He's wasting your time, like
Mm,
insane amounts of time he's wasting, right? And he's really good at sucking you in just by creating
mm,
energetic, entertaining videos, right? So you certainly got the kind of the educational, value sharing content, and you've got entertaining content. There could be funny content, which kind of still falls under entertaining, I guess, so definitely, I think you and I are on the same page as far as trying to share value, and that being the most strategic way to,
yeah,
um, you know, get our message out and find people who need our help and help people who are interested in what we're doing. But you look at some of the big creators on YouTube, especially, I think early on, a lot of them started off with value, and then they kind of like change once they get like a really big following to where they're just kind of like vlogging or more entertaining content. And certainly it's fine to kind of change what you do, but I think you definitely connect with a different audience when you're doing one of those two things, right? So for me, you know, early on when I was really starting to get into video, I really latched on to several creators who were sharing a ton of really what I found at the time to be valuable content on how to do stuff. This equipment works for this and why, and, you know, how to set up your studio and kind of that kind of content, right? And along my journey, a few of those guys have kind of switched what they do to, you know, from doing that to just kind of, I don't know, vlogging or whatever, talking about what they're doing. And to me, it was like, less interested in that guy now. You know, his value to me is dead. And I'll watch a lot of less of their content. So definitely as you pivot in what you're doing, certainly I've experienced this drastically in my efforts, but as you pivot what your content is about, you're going to bring some of your audience with you, but probably most of your audience is going to like not care about you anymore. And they might unfollow you at that point, or they might just like stop engaging with your content, which is actually probably worse.
It is. I think that people unfollowing you is a very good thing. I don't know if anybody who's watching has ever been in a toxic relationship, but if you manage to get out of, it's not a thing of management, unless you're, put it very far and you're very far in the game and it's actually someone holding you back physically. But if you decide to get rid of a toxic relationship and to get out of that, is it a bad thing or a good thing? I think it's a good
always
thing.
a good thing. Yeah.
I think it's a good thing getting rid of things that hold you back. So if people unfollow you, and that is the essence of creating content, is not of like creating the content that is going to get the highest views and the most hype. It's not about getting that, because if you change your identity, if you change who you are and try to pretend to be someone else that you're not, then you attract a lot of people. But those people are attracted to you because they're not attracted to you, they're attracted to the image that you create and that you try to be. And you don't want these people, you don't want to build a life, you don't want to build a business around customers that don't want you but another person that you're really not. So the challenge here is to really listen into yourself and find out who you really are, and content can help you do that. Because if you try to write a carousel and sit on, I create my carousels on Keynote, and I remember writing my first carousel. I sat there, what the heck am I going to write about? I was like, okay, I know a thing or two about graphic design. So even though that's not my major, and but it's still like, it relates to content. So let's try it. Okay, so I put that out. Okay, so now I could write something about video. I could write something about that book that I read. But what should I write about? And then because what you write about is always a decision of who you talk to. It's always a decision of which audience you decide to speak to. And if that's not an audience that is going to help you grow, or an audience that is interested in the stuff that you can, and interested in your superpower, as I like to say, then I don't think it's going to do you well.
Yeah, I really like what you said, Tom, of like having a superpower. I think one of the probably two of the most important things, for an individual or a personal brand, but even like a company brand, to figure out is like, who is your customer, right? Like, who are you trying to talk to? And I think you need to identify that as quickly as you can, and then talk to them as often as you can, so you can really hone in on what they need and how you can help them. But the other aspect of that is, what's your superpower? And I think those two things go hand in hand, of like knowing what you're good at, knowing what that superpower is, kind of informs who your audience is. and your audience can inform what your superpower should be or ought to evolve into. So I think those two things really go hand in hand in figuring out, your audience and your messaging.
I had a very interesting conversation this morning, about this, and it was about being market driven versus being driven by the thing that you come from. And I was, I was on the side of the market at this point. And I still, it makes sense to be market driven, because it makes no sense serving a market that is actually not there or oversaturated, where you have no chance of succeeding, because that is basically sabotaging yourself, because you invest all your energy in something that is not going to work out either way. But there are some ways that you can adapt and that you can use your superpower to tackle different markets. It's very, like, I'm very mindful of using this example, because comparing yourself to big brands is a very dangerous thing, because big brands have, Apple has another level of leverage. Apple has another, they have huge budgets. They have things that nobody who's watching right now probably has. And that's a good thing, because, with mass marketing, there comes mass responsibility. But Apple managed with a thing that they do, which is creating high quality products that are also, they're not only working, but they also make you happy, because they're personal and they're tailored to you, and they make no shoot, I missed the English word. It's if you compromise. I think it's compromise. They make no compromises. Compromises.
Yep.
And that way they were able to, for example, sell like the rolls that you put under your the wheels that you put under your Mac Pro, 4 of them for $800, and people bought that because they believe in Apple as a brand.
Yeah.
It can go this far, and that's because Apple knows exactly what their superpower is, and that way they can attract different markets, but they use one at a time.
Yeah.
And that's a philosophy that you can also borrow when you're building a brand or a personal brand, because you just have to lean in. Don't lean into something that's not your superpower.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. and in branding, I think what a lot of new businesses or new entrepreneurs or new service providers, new guys that quit their jobs and start doing stuff, is they make their branding focused on them, right? I do this. I build websites. I'm a web designer. I'm a graphic designer. I do this. I do that. Like, people don't care about what you do. They care about what you do for them, right? So like Apple, they don't sell cell phones. They don't sell computers. I mean, they do, but like really what they're selling is simplicity and a workflow and a feeling that those devices give you. Rolex doesn't sell watches. They sell luxury and status and, all of those things, right? So the thing that you do is not what people want to pay for, right? Like what we kind of started off with that joke, like, don't buy a video, right? Don't pay. You should never pay for a video, right? Because like that's not what you're paying for. Like a video is no value to you. What the video accomplishes for your brand is what has value.
It's
right?
The result.
So in our messaging as creators and as service providers, what we need to be focusing on is what those results are that we sell, right? I don't sell website design. Like, that's anybody on Fiverr can do that, right? I sell websites that convert, or I sell conversions, or whatever it is that a brand cares about. Like, that's what you sell. I sell results that come from video, and whatever the customer is that you're trying to talk to and the result that they need, that's what you sell.
Yeah. And everybody is a graphic designer. Everybody is a video guy. Nowadays, everyone is a photographer, since iPhone, again, I'm being a brand evangelist for Apple, is building very good cameras, and almost everybody has an iPhone today. So, it is. And that's where most people get uncomfortable with, because they think, if I'm selling this right now, if I'm selling a result, I can't guarantee that. Am I lying now? Am I even good enough to do this? Um, it is. I understand where these questions come from because asked, I've went down the same road, and today I can clearly say that it's still imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Don't get held back by that. Don't get held back by these thoughts. Just confidently deliver your story. That is one mistake that you can avoid when you create content. I'm not a copywriter, but I know a couple of things about copywriting since I'm writing my content for my LinkedIn because I just genuinely enjoy it, and
Hmm.
also work together with a few copywriters in the past. And you know, one mistake that people make is that you probably also make, that everybody, you if you're watching this live right now are probably still doing, is that you fail to make clear statements. This might help you if this might do this and this if you do this and this, and this could maybe do that, and this could maybe give you that result.
We
Get rid of
qualify our statements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get rid of the fluff. Nobody's gonna hold you accountable for that. Nobody's gonna sue you because you promise something as a brand promise.
Hmm.
If you put on a post, um, all marketers lie, you know, and we know it's not true. We know that that this is a statement to provoke a thought. This is a statement to
Hmm.
pull something in the room that is going to draw an audience and going to draw an interesting conversation. But it's important that you don't hide yourself so much behind the fear that you have of getting attention, because
Yeah.
people are interested in stuff that's exciting. So why are you still failing of creating exciting stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I
All
think
right.
I think it's hard. It's hard for people who don't feel exciting to be exciting or to stand out or whatever, But as the more you get into creating content, I mean, a couple things happen as you start making things. When you were talking about making 10 posts on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
your first 9 might suck, but the 10th one might land, and all of a sudden you have an idea of what resonated with your audience and what people hopefully in the future will appreciate. And then as you kind of weave through that effort, eventually you land in a spot where you find out what people or what your people are interested in and what they like and what they appreciate, and then you can kind of hone in on that messaging and kind of run with it. But you don't ever know what's going to work if you don't try. I feel like
Yeah.
half of what I do is just trying to convince people to start making content. Like,
Yeah. It
even
is.
crappy content is better than no content because nobody sees you or hears about you if you're making no content.
There is this famous quote of Jim Rohn, business philosopher, that everyone should be looking up to, and he said that what is measured improves. So if you create content, if you start to put out 10 LinkedIn posts that suck, and you have a thing that a metric that is going to matter for you, if it's just getting one comment, if your goal for the start is getting one comment on each post that you put out, you have a way to measure your success creating these posts, and I can guarantee you that it's going to get better, because what is measured improves. And I remember I was sitting on a carousel post and thinking like, okay, maybe I have to make it more detailed, but I don't know how. I think I'm putting it too simple. It's not that simple, but I have no idea of how to make it more, sophisticated, to give more, to put more flesh on it. Okay, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
just gonna export it and post it anyway, because you never know. I was just curious to see how it would work out if I don't follow my perfectionism and try to make it, even better and better and better, because I think it was not good enough. I just put it out as simple as it was, and it got
Mm-hmm.
40,000 views within the night. I woke up the next day, picked up my phone, looked at my
That's
LinkedIn, and I was
awesome.
like, are these four, or are these 40,000? And it gets even better. One
Yeah.
person reached out to me because of the post was about content creation, and we had a chat about this, and he referred me to someone who became my client later on. So
Mm-hmm.
it can be simpler than you think. You just got to be curious enough to try it out.
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes as creatives that we can fall into is we kind of get stuck in this echo chamber thinking that our audience is other creatives and that we're
Yep.
trying to impress other creatives, right? Because we feel pressure to like make things beautiful, and I'm very much a perfectionist, so I super resonate with you talking about feeling that
Mm.
way with the content you put out, right? And every time I about to push post or something, I'm like, oh, but like this designer and that designer and Chris Doe and this, they're
Yeah.
gonna see it and they're gonna judge me on it, you know. But it's like they're not. They don't care, and even if they do, they're not your audience.
Mm.
Like they're not the ones that might pay you to do some work. They're competitors. I mean, they're friends, right? I mean, I don't look at you as a competitor, right? Even though we are, you know, we do very similar things for clients, but like I look at you as someone in my network that's a friend and that I can grow with and help you, and you can help me, and you know, it's all hunky dory. But
I
like,
totally disagree. We're not friends, and after this live, I'm gonna punch you in the face, man. No, I'm just
but like
kidding.
as much as like I love the interaction that comes from kind of that group, right? Other marketers, other creatives, you know, a lot of my interaction comes with people who are similar to me because I think it's easier to talk to those people, right? Because there's no pressure. But you have to remember that that person isn't your audience. That person's not the one that's going to become a client, right? So
Yeah.
you have to remember that like what I think is like half baked as from a design standpoint, other people are going to see that and think that's such a baller carousel. I wouldn't even know where to start to be able to make that. And like that is viewed as super good content. So I think a lot of it just comes down to like, I don't know, imposter syndrome is a tricky
Yeah.
beast, but just remembering, you know, who's your audience, who you're trying to talk to, and not worrying about what all the designers that are light years ahead of you think because they're not paying attention to you.
I like the thing that you said about competition, man, because I believe in competition, and I think everyone who doesn't is not a, it's either blind or not a good business person,
Mm-hmm.
because there obviously is competition, and in a certain way, Rex, you and I are also since both bring services that also include video.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that is exactly the power of niching down and finding your niche to attract a certain kind of audience, to provide them with a certain kind of service or product. Because imagine this happens right now, Rex. You choose to focus on, like, what is the certain thing that you focus on? What is your niche?
Freak if I know. That's one of the things I'm really trying to figure out.
Okay, so let's say that you
I'm
let's say
definitely
that
like
you
too broad and everything.
okay, so let's just play a game. Let's just pretend that you sell that the thing that you focus, your superpower that you're leaning into, is selling cinematic product videos of orange juice vending machines.
Mm-hmm.
Are you cool with that?
Sure. We could just
Okay.
go with firearm content because I mean that is kind of like the niche that I've backed myself into. You know, a lot of my clients are in that space.
Okay.
So
Okay. So then we just switch roles, and you're you're the orange juice vending machine guy, and I'm the firearm guy, and we're
mm-hmm.
both specializing and making stunning videos of those kind of industries.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is not the case right now, but the physics work the same, because if someone is reaching out to me right now and saying, "Hey, I need a video," and I say, like, "Okay, I might be able to help you, but what is the thing that you need?" I say, "Yeah, I run a company that sells sustainable breakfast, and one of the things that we do is we sell orange juice, which is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful and made up in sustainable refurbished bottles, and we use handcrafted by sustainable materials vending machines to craft those things. And I really need someone to help me make a video that transports the vibe and attracts the right audience." And I would say, like, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna make that video and sell you a firearm video." No, I would I would recommend you, because I know that you
Yeah.
specialize in exactly that, and vice versa. If someone is coming to you and say, "Hey, I need a weapon video," then you would refer me to them, because that's the
Mm-hmm.
way that the network should work, and that is That
Yeah.
is like the peak of leaning into your superpower. So find out what that is, and it doesn't have to happen overnight. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Finding your niche is not easy. So just think about what is a thing that you're really good at. What is the thing
Mhm.
that you last helped someone with? And that might be in your family, that might be in your like with your friends, something that you did really worked and created a better value on this earth. And I'm very sure that every one of you watching this right now have this accomplished in his or her life. Because if you're creative, and I sense that a majority of your audience reacts is uh, concludes creative. So
Yeah.
creatives usually do one thing that a lot of people don't do, is they just find joy in creating something where there was nothing before.
Hmm.
So chances are that 1 in 1,000 times that you created something, that you actually created a value, and your job
Hmm.
is to find this value that you created. Find go through all of these 1,000 things that you created and find this one thing that really helped someone, and then you can lean into this. And if it was fun to you, then you know that you found the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's always interesting to think about, finding your niche or niching down or whatever. And there's certainly different ways to do it, right? And one of them is to niche by your superpower, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
I love making videos more than anything in the world. I hate editing. So, like, my superpower is to be a director of photography. I'm the guy on the camera. I know about all the lighting. I can tell the lighting people and the grips exactly what I want them to do. But, like, I'm the guy on the RE shooting the video. Like, that's what I love to do, right? Like, that's niching down by service. And then the other thing you can do, which is more where I'm at, like, I just love the creative process, right? So I've kind of
Mm.
picked three pillars to focus on, which is pretty freaking broad, right? Branding and brand strategy, creative design and content creation, which is design and video and photography. Like, that's broad, right? But then if you kind of have a broad service offering that you like, you can niche down by geography. Like, I do that for brands in Columbia, Missouri. Or you can niche down by industry. I do that for the firearms industry. Or I do that for orange juice vending machine companies or whatever. So for me, I think what I'm gravitating towards is niching down by industry, but it's hard because, I mean, while I love the firearms industry, it's hard to be a marketer in that industry because you can't run ads. The social media platforms hate you. Like, your content gets demonetized and demonized
Mm.
and suppressed and shadow banned and like all of this stuff that's so hard that I've just like been fighting against it. Like, get me out of the firearms industry, like get into outdoors, right?
Yeah.
So that's still kind of where I'm living, right? Is it's still firearm stuff because that's where my network is. So I'm doing a lot of firearm stuff, but then I do a lot of outdoor stuff too. So that's kind of, if I had to pick an industry niche, that's definitely where I'm at. But at the same time, I've got sophisticated tech companies and tech startups hiring me too. So it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's okay.
It is. You don't have to know what you're doing. It's just a question of um, expectations management,
Yeah.
because you can't expect to get the results that you get from a very niche business model when you're super broad and selling anything to everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
But still, you can be successful with that. And if you again, if you don't fail to grow a good network, and if you don't fail to make your customers happy, then you're in a pretty good way to growing something that will later on allow you to niche down. And maybe you'll
Yeah.
never niche down if it's just not your thing. Niching down also became a hype, but I
Yeah.
believe that this hype has a reason. And if you read The Brand Gap, which I'm sure you did, since you're a
Mhm.
brand strategist,
Yeah.
um, it is very important to be aware of the development of how marketing changed in the last
Hmm.
couple of decades, because a couple of decades ago it was important to have the biggest sign, to have the biggest factory, and that's how you won on the market. And that's
Hmm.
not the case right now at all, because since everybody knew that, everyone got an expert at building a better sign, building a bigger sign, building a bigger factory, bigger and bigger and bigger, and who can shout the
Hmm.
loudest.
Yeah.
There is a certain point where customers just think, oh, it's enough. I can't. What should I choose? Where should I choose? Like what is the
They
right
all have
option
big
for me?
factories now.
Yeah, there only are big factories, and everybody is yelling at me, buy this, buy this. This is better. This is better. This is better. So you're overwhelmed, and you don't know what you should do as a customer because
Yeah.
you have too many options, and that is a luxury problem. But still, it is a problem that you can't deny. And if you manage to understand that problem and understand the problem that they're shopping for, then I think that you are on a good way to make your marketing grow as maybe not as fast, but as good as possible. Oh, that's a new camera angle. Is that the
Yeah,
is that the closing camera angle? Are we
this
closing this
is
right now?
this is the B cam, but yeah, we can. Well, my A, so I plug in my Ace or my FX3 like into USB to keep it charging, and we've just
Yeah.
been going long enough. It's about to
Oh.
die, even though it's
Oh.
charging while it's running. So
Okay. So I hope my iPhone camera setup is still sustaining
yeah,
until we're done here. So
yeah. iPhone again, brand evangelist for iPhones. iPhone is currently
yeah.
beating out the Sony FX3 in streaming capability. So
Someone is
that's
gonna
pretty
make a
funny.
video of just me saying iPhone, 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 iPhone. That's gonna be the content of the live
Yeah,
stream.
I'm
Just
gonna
kidding.
I'm gonna open up I'm gonna open up Descript and pull out every time you say iPhone
Oh
and put
yeah,
it into a clip.
this whole session, important PSA. This whole session is all the way scripted. There is nothing real that we said, and there's a teleprompter above my iPhone where I'm reading everything out.
Yeah, and we're totally sponsored by Apple and iPhone.
Yeah,
Thank them for bringing you this video. But yeah, dude, it's hard here. I gotta get the picture of you over by where I'm talking, so I feel like
oh
I'm
yeah.
still looking at you because you used to be over there. Now you're there. Okay, got it.
So
Yeah, dude, it was.
where are we going with this now?
Honestly, it's probably a good idea to shut it down so we can
Yeah,
both kind of get some work done today.
yeah. I'm
But
just gonna go
I
to
feel
sleep.
like
It's already pretty late at night
I feel
here.
like it's hard to shut them down when they're going good. When they're fun and we're vibing and talking about good, valuable
Yeah,
things. I feel like everything that we've shared today has been pretty valuable. For anybody
yeah,
who's building a brand or trying to create videos or pretty much doing anything in the content scene. So, I mean, it's a long one. It's an hour
it
coming up on
is.
2 hours, but I think it's pretty value packed. So this will be a good candidate for cutting up into little sequences and kind of repurposing some of the stuff. So once YouTube uploads it and lets me download it, then I'll send it over your way and we can kind of run with it. But I really appreciate you being on with me today, Tom. It was good to
Yeah,
like
thanks for having me.
more formally meet you, and it's been a really fun chat, and I've learned a lot from
Sure.
you, and hopefully the audiences, our co-audiences kind of get a lot of value out of the conversations we've been able to have today.
Yeah,
um,
thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging out with us and participating.
yeah, it's been really fun, and for me, like, I really value these personal connections. It's just me by myself in my basement running an agency by myself for now. I'm quickly approaching that point where I need to get some help and some new friends to come kind of join the mission with me. But for now, it's just me. So having these opportunities to chat with some people who are doing similar stuff and similar work and kind of learn from each other as we chat, it's been really valuable. So appreciate your time today, Tom, and probably shut down the stream.
Yeah, thanks for your time and thanks for having me, Rex. It was a pleasure and awesome to meet you guys. Awesome to chat with you. Um, yeah, what is there else to say? I think
Yeah,
that's my final words, right?
I think that's it. So I'll shut the stream down, and then it'll keep us online. But I'll go ahead and shut it down. So we will see you guys later.
All right, see you.